And so now the people of Iran, like, yeah, they stand with the people, keyword, the people of Palestine. But that's only a small minority because the majority of their, and I was over there and I can tell you this for a fact, majority of that government that's over there right now is actually terrorist organization. They just cosplay as political figures. So the flags that they're waving, you also have to look at the type of flag. I think the Palestinian flag has like 3 green stars on it, right?
Nah, I think it has like one with stripes, like of course, the white, red. But nah, well, hold on now. For sure, though, they were waving the Palestinian flag. The thing is,
They were.
though, that here's the thing. Here's the thing. The Iranian people have been supporters of what was going on in Palestine for a while now. I mean, they were the main ones calling out the open air concentration camp that was going on in Palestine. So I know,
So
like, I know you're trying to sit here and frame it as if, oh, well, no, they don't care about nobody but Hamas, but
no, that's
nah,
not
I
what.
wouldn't
That's
say
not how I'm
that.
trying to. That's not how I'm trying to
Or,
frame it. What
and
I'm
I
trying
get
to.
what you're saying that, they fund these terrorist organizations. You're right. You're right. But so does other Middle Eastern countries, like in Yemen, bro. You got the UAE supporting their own group in Yemen. You got Iran
Hey,
supporting their own group in Yemen,
notice I
and you
didn't
got
bring up
Saudi Arabia
UAE.
supporting their own group in Yemen.
Hey, notice I didn't bring up UAE supporting the Iranian coalition or the revolution that's going on over there, and it's because they get tons of money from Iran. It's just they're more smart about the way they move it. But if you look hard enough, yeah, they moving money through oil, weapons, and everything, letting terrorists use their deep water and shallow water ports. Oh yeah, I've been seeing a whole bunch of that. But
I get that. Mhm.
so like the revolution that's happening, like I said, and I told you last time I was on live, everything I said is based off of historical fact. And majority of those people actually don't want the government over there. Now they may have some, now there may be a segment of people that also support Palestine, but ultimately they really don't want the government over there. And from what I've been seeing and from who I've been talking to, everything that's being put out on Western media is being put out by the people that only support the government, and the other side of the story isn't being told because the internet is still shut off. For example,
I
the
mean,
800
hold on now.
people.
I think the anti-government side story is being told way more than the pro-government side. Actually, bro, remember we weren't even willing to accept that there were pro-government rallies. Actually, most of the media has came outside of Iran. Bro, the 12 to 20,000 people dead, bro, that's not confirmed Iranian numbers. The confirmed
Yeah.
Iranian number is 5,000.
No, I agree. I agreed with
Yeah.
what you were saying, but
Right.
me and even me and Monty were like, yeah, that's what they're saying, but realistically, it might be more. Like when they said that, oh, they didn't execute those 800 people. I'm sorry, but if you believe that from a totalitarian dictatorship who seized power through a coup in 1979, you might be cooked.
No, I can see that. Shoot. All right then. All right. Well, let's get into this next video though, because we
All right.
got one with Nick Fuentes pretty much calling out the drifters on the conservative party.
All right.
All right, man. We're gonna go ahead and end off on this one.
At the end of the day, I've been right and they have all been wrong. I've been beating the drum on Israel for 10 years and getting no help from anybody.
There's times that you're right and they're wrong, but at minimum, you could definitely say that you were at least, even if you're both right, you were right first.
Yes. And all I would like is little recognition of, not even like, oh, a pat on the back, but some recognition when they say they disagree with my tactics or my strategy. It's like, okay, but in many ways, I changed the conversation. And I don't know if it would have changed in the same way without, many of the things that I've said and done have been proven right over the years, whether it was with Ye or whatever. It's like we've been at the tip of the spear and you've been trailing behind. So that would be I would just ask for a little humility on that.
Up to date, NXR Studios is the only right-wing media company to produce a 10-part
All right, here we are. Mr. Nicholas Fuentes, we are going to be calling out conservative grifters. I feel like that's something you do, I don't know, every 5 seconds, like pretty often. Now, some of the guys, I've seen you call out, guys, and I'm like, I kind of like that guy. And maybe I'm wrong. Like sometimes things that you'll say something and I'll be like, that's mean, or Nick, you're being stupid, you know. And then 6 months go by and I'm like, oh, he was actually kind of right.
Mhm.
And then there's some that I still disagree with, and so we could push back a little bit, but a lot of your instincts have been correct.
Mm.
And at a certain point, I'm not going to just take everything you say as gospel, but I'd be foolish not to at least consider it. So let's start with, you know, maybe some of the obvious ones, but I would love if towards the end of this episode, maybe throw out a couple guys that people might be surprised by, that you're like, I know you all kind of like so-and-so, but all right. So that's what you do. I feel like you're ready. Who are some guys that you're like, that's not the real deal?
Hey, absolutely. Yeah. I think that, you know, it's important though to define what a grifter is.
Yeah, dude.
Because, you know, in my opinion, because I try to be fair. I try not to just rail against everyone I disagree with and say things about them that aren't true. Because I think there's a fine line between somebody who's a grifter and someone who is just maybe not awake, or somebody who's not on board. And to me, a grifter is somebody that is saying things that they know are not true because it's convenient, because they'll make more money that way. And I got to be honest with you, the people that I have the biggest problem with, it's guys like Matt Walsh. I have to say, Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, to me, are the biggest ones.
And they're both Catholic.
I know.
Those should be your guys.
I know. And that's the thing is,
well, let me go on the record real quick, because
Sure.
I don't want to be hypocritical. I like Matt Walsh. And actually, this, I think, will maybe surprise some of the listeners, but I like Matt Walsh in kind of like a blue collar everyman. He just got like that. He just has common sense in spades, right? He just, you know, he's good on that. But Michael Knowles is actually, I think, more based. People usually think,
yeah, I mean, if you ask me to choose between what was it, Michael Knowles and what was the other guy?
Matt Walsh.
Walsh. Yeah, I would choose Michael Knowles.
Yeah, Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles has that wisdom that comes from life experience, and you can kind of tell that's how he carries himself.
Yeah, and I mean, you could tell he's a little bit more level-headed, I would say, than Matt Walsh. In my opinion.
Matt Walsh, he is good when he's on the money. He's on the money. So the only disagreement I would have with Nick Fuentes is not that he's necessarily grifting. He may be running with information that isn't exactly all the way true, and he's not taking his time to actually sift through it, which is really important.
I mean, his trusted sources that became too trusted to where even if they are lying to him, he wouldn't even notice. He wouldn't even accept it.
Right, and that's where I think Nick Fuentes is getting grifting with being too trusting confused.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. I get that though, because like, let's be real though. Like, there are some guys in our base in MAGA who are a bit too trusting of the Trump administration. To it's like, all right, bro, you can't just sit here and co-sign every little thing the man does.
Right.
But
it's like,
yeah,
it's like I know, like with the whole what was it that he rolled out last year that pissed everybody across the nation off at once?
What,
the whole the student loan thing.
Oh,
yeah, when he rolled out and he was like, yeah, everybody's gonna have to pay back their student loans, and we're gonna start up the interest on them, and no one's getting a free pass, and everybody's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
Literally, it's like, bro, you're literally hearing people complain about affordability, but you're trying to like force these payments on people who are dealing with an affordability crisis. Are you trying to lose the midterms?
Like you know, and there are, like you said, and I'm using that as an example to prove what you're saying. Yeah, there are people who I saw that were following this man say that blindly off a cliff. I'm like, no, that's gonna fuck the nation for real, because part of the reason why people can't pay the student loans is because they ain't got no damn money.
Literally. And now all of a sudden you just go tell them like, oh, now we're just gonna force it and garnish your check on what they can already afford. They can barely afford their essentials, and now you're gonna start garnishing their check. And a notice is coming from the president. So when midterm comes around and all the Republicans lose, I would literally look at them and be like, yo, you guys are literally exacerbated an affordability problem to help the big banks.
Right.
That's literally what you did. You helped the big banks. You said F them, our average American, and just say, oh, let's work for them. You didn't think, and let's be real, that's going to turn more people socialists.
Right. And it's like, he could have said something like this. This would have made more sense. all right, for anybody that has student loans of under $50,000 total, we'll pay off up to like 80 or 90% of the student loans for anything under 50,000, or hell, let's even be fair, 60,000. Okay, that takes care of your community college kids, and that takes care of your kids that go from community college all the way to university or your trade school kids. Right, so your biggest workforce now has their burden offloaded. Then you roll out another policy that's like, all right, we're going to cover student loans for up to 50%. Okay, 50%. These are your like not
Yeah, and
necessarily what was it, masters and some of your doctorate
now
degrees.
look, I like where you're going with it, because you're right. I mean, at least it'd be way less than, I mean, well, if you're a doctor, you're paying like 100K or more for that. I mean,
Right.
tech students, they be coming out with like 60,000. Like, it does seem like the more advanced your degree is, the more you're paying for it. And this is why I do feel bad for those guys who are going to get these advanced degrees, but then can't find work in that field. It is effed up, especially with, like I always did say, if you guys are just going to import a whole bunch of H-1B visas, then stop telling kids to go to college. Stop putting them in debt just for them to be taking them out of the roll call for an H-1B visa. Actually, no, you guys should forgive their student loan, because that's exactly what you're doing. Like,
Right.
you lied
I mean,
to them.
you basically, not even that, let's call it what it is. They basically are replacing highly qualified students with the education to match with less qualified immigrants, and they're paying out the same amount of money they would have paid out if they would have just paid some of the student loans back.
But all right, though, let's keep it going.
At Walsh, but Michael Knowles, he understands, like, he's more like, the Christian monarch, and that, like, he knows like the Catholic philosophy and like the history and stuff like that. So like Michael Knowles, I think in some ways is like more on board for like, let's set up a Christian monarch and Christian nationalism than even Walsh would be. But both of them do really well in a lot of ways, but they're never going to call out Jews.
Right.
So I get that.
Well, and that's the issue is it's not that I don't like them as guys. I mean, over the years, I have come to have a little more respect for them. They're Catholic. They're fellow travelers on some level. They're white. Michael Knowles is Italian. He's Sicilian. I'm Calabrian. So we were a little different as Italians, as far as Italians go. But what is very frustrating about them is, here's what I will say in their defense. I think that they both, the way they look at it, it's a trade-off, which is that they get to enjoy the Daily Wire platform, where they get to push the ball down the field on some of the issues they care about. And on the issues they care about, they're very good.
Yeah.
Like Matt Walsh, to his credit, has been a champion against the transgender movement.
Yeah, really.
And he's gotten laws changed.
Yeah.
In Tennessee.
Like real effects.
Yes. He's summoned his people to the school boards. His documentary was unbelievable. He changed the conversation on that issue.
Yeah, but like what was it? Like, what is a racist and what is a woman? Bro, those are both bangers. Let me be real with you.
Yeah, those were some of his best works, and that's where I think like Matt Walsh really shines. But because it's fact based, he's asking like the legit questions that Americans are like, logical questions that Americans would follow up with. It's like, well, if a woman is X, Y, and Z, then where do we even get the basis from where a woman is? Asking those questions, bro. One day we should play those documentaries, dog.
Sure, we can do a Rumble watch party for it. But all right,
yeah,
he did,
and that was admirable, and I admire that as an activist, as a broadcaster. I think it's very powerful. So I think his heart, they're good guys. I think they're generally pushing in the right direction as social conservatives, Catholics, and they've also, I would say, maybe Matt Walsh more so. They've been good on race, too. Matt Walsh has been very brave on the white identity front against immigration, diversity, crime. Here's the problem, though, for me at least, and maybe it's a difference of opinion. My message is America first. And so that's really not about conservatism in any way, shape, or form, because conservatism inherently is about like retarding social progress.
Right.
And that has like a negative connotation, but that could be a good thing. Like progress is a spook in some ways. Is there progress? That's a question. America first is not about that. It's about whether we have sovereignty, which is extremely specific. It's whether the American people actually have a say over the big decisions that happen in our country, whether they're made by the public or private sector. And that has to do with whether we're independent, whether we're free, whether as citizens, we really still have a government of, by, and for the people. And so I came up during the Trump generation, and his message was basically about that. On some levels, an anti-corruption message. And so to me, it's like, if you are not America first, and the biggest obstacle to that, of course, is the Israel lobby, at least on the right wing, then you're kind of a traitor. And I identify Ben Shapiro, like, some would call him a grifter. I would say he's just a foreign operative, because he believes in what he says, but he's just agitating for a foreign government. He's on Israel's side, not America's. And so to see Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, they're two Catholic guys. They're good guys. They're pro-white. They're patriotic. For them to be in the camp with Shapiro, working for him, and in a way, buttressing what his message is, almost like inoculating him from criticism.
Right. Because anybody who doesn't like Ben Shapiro, the immediate retort is, but Matt Walsh, how bad could he be? You know, because Matt Walsh, you know.
Exactly. And they'll say, it's keeping Daily Wire afloat. If Daily Wire was just Andrew Klavan and Ben Shapiro, would it have any cachet?
Right.
Absolutely not. Well, it's Knowles and Walsh holding it up. And
the big three was Candace, Walsh, and Knowles. Those were the big three. When they lost Candace, I mean, they really start pushing on Knowles. I mean, we start pushing on Walsh and Knowles.
So you want to know
what's crazy? A guy like,
what's up?
Candace Owens, actually, one of her reasons why she left was because of the BS that's surrounding Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, that, and I mean, Ben Shapiro was literally vying for her job. I mean, bro was literally asking for her to be, you know, fired.
Canned.
And she got his way. He got his way out of that. I mean, he was able to, you know, cry, bitch, and scream, and he got it done. Just like he was able to cry, bitch, and scream his way onto TPS, that TPS event.
And then I was going to say, and then on top of it, it's one of the reasons why Steven Crowder was like, nah, I don't want to join Daily Wire, because look what you did to her. What do you think? What do you think would happen to me if I join you guys and then Ben Shapiro gets a wild hair up his ass?
I mean, here's the thing. They were trying to sign over Steven Crowder. And now I remember, what was it? I think it was Candace Owens and Steven Crowder got into a beef over this, because Candace trying to say that, oh, Steven Crowder is lying. He was being spoiled. They offered him a certain amount of money. He said no. And then Steven Crowder came at Candace. Like, bro, Steven Crowder and Candace has always been like enemies. Some strange reason. Like, whatever position Candace takes, Steven Crowder will take the opposite. It's like almost hilarious at a certain point. Same thing with Candace.
I think Steven does it at this point just for the memes.
Yeah, that's a certain point.
He's doing a lot of good. He is clearly very popular, but does he want his legacy to be standing next to Ben Shapiro and giving him plausible deniability, giving him cover with the white people, with the Christians? And that's where, you know, it's kind of funny. Like, people have defamed my friends with the guilt by association for years. People say, I don't agree with everything he says, but it's like, do you really want to do that for Shapiro, which is kind of platform him and give him a seat at the table? I think that's problematic. And so I would call them out and say, I think they could survive on their own. Candace Owens and we have our differences, but she did something very courageous when she went against Shapiro. And when she went out on her own, she achieved heights that she never did at Daily Wire.
It didn't hurt her at all. She did great.
It helped her.
Yeah.
And so, if anything, she proved it's possible that you can survive off of the Daily Wire plantation. You can thrive, actually. So
that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to survive off the YouTube plantation. I'm trying to show creators that, yo, look, when YouTube start acting funny, we don't got to sit there and take that shit to the chin, bro. We got other platforms we can go to and build a community on. And that's why I've always respected what Candace did, is that she took a big conservative platform, gave them the middle finger, said, I'll do my own thing. You got to respect
days never finished. Master got me working. Someday Master set me free.
My bro, you about to start make me sing hymns and all that. But all right.
Singing them slave music.
Wade in the water. Okay, we're done.
Bro.
Love, and I said this before, I've been very harsh towards both of them. And in some ways I regret it. So I've been very harsh. I've been
I
pretty
see you
tough on them.
almost daily, in the comments of Matt Walsh, he says something that's good. And I know you agree with it. And your comment will be, leave the Daily Wire, or like, something like that.
I say you work for Ben Shapiro. Daily reminder.
Yeah, right.
And it's like a one-sided beef. But I've really said some intense stuff towards them. But it's only out of just like a deep frustration. It may be me retconning it, but I'm so frustrated because they could do so much good on the right side. And I know it's their prerogative, it's their life, and it's their job, and they can pursue their own strategy, of course. But I know everybody would love to see them really take their own side. You don't need Shapiro and Clavin. You could do your own thing. And the last thing I'll say, though, is this. The one thing which is really inexcusable, I always tell people, and we're doing shows about this subject also, I tell people it's okay to conceal your views, but you can't lie. You can't, because that helps the enemy when you lie. And it's also immoral. And what I really can't stand is when Matt Walsh went on Tucker Carlson. They talk about Israel. And Matt Walsh said, well, I'm just not obsessed with Israel. I'm pro-America, he said. And, I think if you're preoccupied with Israel, positive or negative, that's a problem, he said. And a number of other things. He said, I think Israel, they have a right to defend themselves, and they can defend themselves on their own. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, that's a lie. That's
if
a
America wasn't
disingenuous.
propping up Israel, they'd be in a world of hurt.
And he knows that. I think everyone knows that. And it's disingenuous.
Anybody tries to tell you differently, like the whole 12-day war, when they say, oh, Israel was completely decimating Iran, I'm like, that's not true. Both sides were actually getting hit heavily. And if the war would have kept going, Israel would have lost it all because it was a battle of nutrition. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, if it was without us, they'd have lost it, because a lot of those missiles would end up hitting them because we were actually blocking a lot of the missiles off the coast.
That's why we sent the destroyer. That's why we sent 2 destroyers off the coast of Palestine
to intercept those missiles. So without us, bro, Israel would have got decimated.
Now, at the same time, we don't need to be sending them billions of freaking dollars in aid, though, especially not when our own country's right either.
Yeah, facts. I mean, we don't need to be sending them $3 billion in aid. Shoot, they've dedicated to a $110 billion military spending plan to wean themselves off America's dependence of military force. And I mean, I get it, but come on. Like, after all this, you just gonna turn away from us just because we're not letting you get your way in Iran?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is around the world. And this is the biggest thing. Now that America is actually putting us first, and we're calling the shots, and we're using our authority that we've long since had, now all of a sudden everybody is like, you've changed. No, I just started realizing my value.
Man, facts. Oh, guys, if you're still on YouTube, try to see if you can make your way over to Rumble. S.E.T Media on Rumble.
Even to frame it that way, because to take this position that I just don't care about Gaza. Okay, but America we're on the hook for that in every way, shape, and form. It's detrimental to our country. And this arrangement exists because of corruption. So you can't recuse yourself and say, well, that's happening over there. Yeah, but we're involved, and we're involved because of what's happening here. So I thought that was very disingenuous, and I just wish that they would be as forceful on that issue as they are on the other things. And I think there's a deception there. I don't like that.
Yeah. So more than just we don't touch it, but even at least on a couple of occasions saying something that was categorically untrue.
Right.
Like Israel is a big boy and they're great in their own right and they can do their own thing. When they literally can't. It's not like Israel, I just want to stay out of it. It's like, no, we are actually actively propping them up. And somebody has to say enough.
Right.
All right. Who are some others?
I would say that, and again, this is kind of like a different category. What I really can't stand lately is Josh Hammer, who's also a Daily Wire alum. I believe he's now at Newsweek. And Josh Hammer, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
A little bit. He was at NatCon.
Yes.
Right. Okay. He was on a panel at NatCon, and I had a friend on that panel who's still a friend, but I wasn't stoked.
Yeah, I did love that. Yeah. Well, he's been around forever, and he was at Daily Wire for a long time, and I think he went away, and I think he has some role there now, although I'm not sure. And what I knew this guy for many years is that he would frequently tweet that white people are inherently anti-Semitic. He's tweeted it on at least 2 or 3 occasions. He says that,
well, white people are historically Christian.
Right. Yeah. Historically. So,
and the New Testament, like, I got in big trouble because I said the Bible is anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think in an objective sense, but what I was trying to say is that not just the ADL, right? It's easy to the ADL. It's not just the ADL. There are multiple clear biblical principles that I could just change a couple words and basically essentially just quote the New Testament and what Jesus said. And it's not just the ADL. Ben Shapiro would say that's anti-Semitic.
Yes.
And so my point when I said, the Bible is anti-Semitic, I was trying to make a point and say that, like, you guys are so concerned about anti-Semitism, but if your chief standard in morality becomes avoiding anti-Semitism, you will compromise the New Testament. You will.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And that's even happening with the Catholic Church. They're putting on Good Friday, they put in like a little piece of paper inside the missal, which is sort of like a disclaimer. Because, of course, for centuries, the Catholics would pray for the perfidious Jews on Good Friday. And the story on Good Friday is that the Jews call for the death of Christ.
Right.
And so on I don't know if it was the Holy Thursday or the Easter Sunday Mass, that's part of it. And the Catholic Church put in like a disclaimer that says we do not do that anymore. This is anti-Semitic. So yeah, you really can't faithfully talk about the gospel without leaning into that territory.
That's part of the story.
Right.
And people always say, well, the Romans killed Jesus. When that was a big thing, like a couple of years ago, like who killed Jesus, and like, I think biblically, like what I told people is, you could list at least 5 different, like the Father killed Jesus. It pleased him before the foundations were laid to crush the Son for our iniquity. Jesus killed Jesus. No one takes my life from me, but I freely lay it down of my own accord. Right? He could have called a legion of angels to deliver him at any time. He says this explicitly. So Jesus willingly goes to the cross. He forfeits his own life. The Father ordains it. You and I, all of us, our sin killed Jesus. Right. I mean, that's one of the truest answers. The Romans killed Jesus in the literal sense of driving the nails. So there's a lot of different accounts, but there's only one that I'm continually told I can't say.
Right.
So I'm going to say that one even louder. So yes. My point is, like, I would agree that it is a multifaceted answer. But at the same time, one, I'm being told I can't say. And then secondly, it's not just that I'm being told I can't say the Jews killed Jesus, so I'm going to say it louder. That is part of it. But in addition to that, yeah, the Romans scourged him. The Romans drove the nails, through his hands and pierced his side with a spear. That's true. But I mean, Pilate is pretty clear. Like, I mean, in the end, he compromises, and he's a politician, and he's up for re-election, and he's over that district, and so he is cowardly and chickens out. But Pilate didn't want to do it. So now he washes his hands, but he is guilty. I mean, it's in our creeds. Pontius, suffered under Pontius Pilate. So like he is guilty. But there is a difference between I ultimately made the decision, and so therefore I bear guilt, versus we conspired in the middle of the night to hold a kangaroo court, a mock trial where we produced false witnesses, and then we went and bribed and stirred up the crowd and say, give us...
go ahead. Explain.
The Jews also broke every single Old Testament law when they tried Jesus.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have a trial after sundown. You're not supposed to have a rapid trial like that, without both sides being able to provide at least 2 witnesses. You can't have the guy who's making a claim also be on the board for trying the person. You also have to. The trial has to be over the course of 3 days. It can't be held on weekends, which it was.
Oh shit!
And it can't be held on the eve of a major festival or event, which it also was.